success factor that MTN has had as a key ingredient over these years that has underpinned the success?
Wow. I mean, to be honest, I don't know the company as well as I need to. Hey? But a key thing for me coming in is I need to meet the people. I need to get out into the markets. I've always felt that as a manager in a business, forget about the leader. If you want to help people, you have to understand.
Yep.
Someone said to me once that the best boss in the world is someone who's smart and lazy. Okay? So by definition, the boss that's not so good is the one that's not so smart and very busy. And then you just send people in a whole bunch of different, the wrong direction. So I hope obviously not to be lazy, but I want to and I need to learn the people and the business. And I need, in a way, to learn what the answer to that question is.
Yeah.
I do think there is something about a pioneering can-do attitude that MTN would go into countries with a spade and a screwdriver and build a network, just carve it out of nothing. This is not something you see in the more developed telcos. I'd like to think that there's something in there about a practical, let's get it done together. Let's not be too fancy about everything. And there's a lot of creativity. The way the brand's been evolved, the new services that have been developed. I always find myself a little bit have to compare the red and the yellow because I know the red world better than I know the yellow world. And there are many things I see here that are much better than I saw at that side. Yeah. People say you come to paint MTN red. That's the last thing on my mind. If that was such a great place, I'd still be there. No.
Fantastic. People say a leader in your role in any organization has a particular style. Is there a way in which you could describe what your style of leadership is to the MTN guys? What can they expect?
Well, I think it's maybe easier to describe what kind of a person am I, because sometimes the style is a little bit dependent on the situation. If you have a big network crisis somewhere, then you have to be quite firm and directive. But I think at heart, I would like to believe I'm a positive person. I'm an energetic person. I try and, if I come into a room to raise the energy, I'm much more glass half full. Although I also think that if there are challenges, we need to identify them because then we can tackle them.
Yeah.
So this is important for me. I'm very much a team guy. Like I really believe in the power of teams, the power of diversity in a team. I like teams that get on well together but argue and discuss and disagree. In that friction, often you get, something really great can emerge from that. I'm an organized guy, I guess, so it is important for me that things are well arranged. I kind of believe, plan or be planned for. And I think if you have a solid kind of operational way of working where everybody knows, this is what I've got to do, I've got the tools to do it, this is how I'm being evaluated, I know why I'm doing it, the resources are there, I know what to do if I need something, and the strategy is clear, then you get an efficient business. And if that core engine is turning well, then you have a lot of space also to look out the window and dream. So I very much believe that, and that is sometimes a bit challenging for people that work with me, because I demand a lot, but I demand also most from myself, to be honest. I think I'm a restless guy in the sense that I'm restless for change, for progress. I'm always kind of looking and saying, is this the best way to do it? Like I'm walking in now and I'm thinking, like, why are they waiting outside? Shouldn't they just come in when we come in? It's like, of course, it's a wonderful day, but you know what I'm saying? It's that kind of brain. It's a brain that is thinking, like, is there a better way to do this? It's sort of a positive restlessness, maybe you could call it. So these are some of the key things. And I I want us to be proud of the company we work for. You know, I'm proud of it, but I just got here, okay? So I'm in the honeymoon, and maybe it will be the shortest honeymoon in recorded history. But, you know, it looked fantastic coming in this morning. I thought, you know, they say the Queen thinks the world smells of fresh paint, you know, so... but this is all about a positive environment for the people. Yep. So I'm very focused on the people. Mm-hmm. I want it to be good for the people, because, you know, in the end, you know, if we have the people over here and the customer over here, every dream we've got for the customer has to be built by the people. Yeah. So we have to be positive about that, and of course we are people also. Yeah.
You know, Rob, we had an earlier interaction, and I was quite moved and inspired by what you believe should underpin the way in which MTN engages in the digital space. Do you want to share with everybody what your view about this is, especially for MTN?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think that, you know, so what's important to me is this notion that we have one business, and we have one dream for MTN, and we have one team and one thing we're trying to do for our customers. Mm-hmm. And in this business, of course, we have an evolution. We have an evolution from a kind of a voice-centric, consumer-centric model to a model that is much more balanced between voice and data, more balanced between consumer and enterprise. Yeah. And in the data world, we have a range of services, whether that's just an internet bundle, or it can also be a mobile money solution, or a music streaming, or an e-commerce platform. So I see this as one business, one company, one dream. That's important for me. In the digital space, mm-hmm. I think this is a huge priority for us. Okay, but I always think of it in kind of three areas. So the first area is the digital services we're building for our customers. That's most often when we talk about digital in a telco. It is about the mobile money, the streaming, the music, the media, the entertainment. Mm-hmm. Hugely important. But the second and very important bit is how we digitize the way customers interact with us. So what they call the digital channels, you know, the app, the portal, all the things we're doing there. Mm-hmm. And then the third aspect of it is how we transform the way we work digitally. So the inner workings of the company. And that can be everything from using advanced analytics or big data to better service our customers, to simply how are we e-enabled? You know, can I fill out a leave form, or claim an expense, or can I work from home, or, you know, mobilizing ourselves? Now, I believe that these three things are interlinked, okay? And that's how we need to approach them at a mental model perspective, okay? So work out where they touch each other. This is really key. And the reason why I wanted to reinforce why it's so fundamental is, if you look at the data journey that our customers will go on, I mean, a few simple numbers, okay? If we have 240 million customers today, and roughly half of them are using data, that's 120 million. In 2020, we have close to 300 million customers, but at least 2/3 will use data. Yeah. So we will have 200 million data customers in MTN in the next few years. And in the move from the 100 odd to the 200, this window is the window to bring them in a digital channel, digital service world. This is such a critical difference between what happened in Europe and what's happening here. In Europe, the customers came into the digital world first, and then we tried to convert them to digital channels and additional services. In the emerging markets, we get a once-off opportunity to do it at the same time. Okay, and it's a window, it's a 4-year window that we need to be well arranged for. And I'm super passionate about that, and I think we have all of the skills and resource to do it.
That's fantastic. And how about you personally? What keeps you locked on to the digital space? What apps, for example, are you interested in?
Tinder.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
At least I didn't say Grindr.
Yeah.
Swipe left. No, it's like, I was always the guy, when I got a new smartphone, I used to sit there and I used to go through every menu because I just wanted to figure out how it worked, So that's a little bit, I am very interested in this space. So, I like to, I keep up with the social media, so LinkedIn, Twitter, kind of work, semi-work mixed. Facebook for me is a bit personal life, so I say yes to the LinkedIn invites and I say no to the Facebook, stuff. I use a range of, mobile money. All my news is coming digitally. I quite like the curator sites, that aggregate content from different places. But what's important to me is that we focus our efforts where the customer pull is the greatest. We had a experience, for example, with a wallet in a developed market. So if I have a debit card and it's a contactless debit card, and I want to make a payment at point of sale, I dip my card, 2 seconds, I'm done. So to build a wallet so that I can virtualize that card into the wallet and then dip my phone instead of the card, in the end, although we spent a huge amount of money on that, there was not enough extra utility for the customers to adopt. So then you're pushing for adoption. So in a way, it's much easier to focus your effort on the things that people really want or need. And that's why I think there's been really good choices in the verticals that we've adopted here. Because media and entertainment is a lot of customer pull. Mobile banking and financial services, a lot of pull. E-commerce, also in the same category. Our challenge now is to scale. Take these things and bring them to life at scale across our markets.
That's fantastic. Rob, I'm being very self-indulgent here. The idea is that everybody also needs to get a say and meet you and find out a little bit more about you. I know we've got a first question from the crowd. Yeah. Please just stand up and tell us your name and introduce yourself.
Hi, good morning. My name is Kolani Mtabela from MTN Group Business. So my question would be, the inspiring journey of MTN since 1994 has been good, but it's been in the voice business mainly. And now it's in the decline and the profits are not as big because there's now OTT players and also MVNOs. So I would like to know from you in terms of, you've mentioned digital, which is good. I heard on radio the other day, they say you digitize or you liquidate. But now, I'm wondering if you can just give me, what are the other business areas, opportunities that MTN should focus on in the next 5 years?
Yeah, so I think a way to think about it is that there's broadly 3 customer segments. So, let's start with the customer. It's always a good place to start. So you have the consumer businesses, you have enterprise businesses, and you have wholesale. Okay? In consumer, we make already a big step in the transition from voice to data. You have more than 100 million customers using data services, a lot of investment in data networks and spectrum. So, I would say we're somewhere maybe near the end of the beginning in that space. A lot of work still on the networks, and I think a lot of work also in the commercial models, how we price data, etc. So, but that transition, that path is reasonably well trodden in markets that are already at 70 or 80% smartphone penetration. So we don't need to make all of that up as we go along. And for sure, in consumer also, in some markets, there's going to be consumer fixed, so fiber to the home, particularly where you've got big cities with quite good demographics. So we will see it in South Africa, we'll see it in Iran also. And then, of course, you've got the digital services that are around the core, the access products. So I think that's the consumer story. Enterprise, I have still a struggle in my own mind because the enterprise businesses, successful businesses I've seen, have at their heart business mobile. Okay? Because that is where the big customer pull is. Most enterprise customers are wanting to mobilize the workforce, they're wanting to give them access to mobile data, they're wanting to move away from a fixed world. But if you want to sell business mobile, you can't always do that exactly the same way you sell consumer. There's various things that businesses require. They want split billing, they want device management, they want telecom expense management, and shared data bundles, a range of things. So I sometimes feel that the telcos went maybe ran a bit ahead of themselves in the enterprise space, and they ran too quickly to cloud and hosting and data centers when they hadn't fully exploited their position in business mobile. And if I look across the MTN footprint, I do think we have slightly too low shares in that enterprise market, in which case there's a big opportunity there because we've got the networks and the infrastructure and the customers. We just need to organize for it. On the wholesale side, so I am a believer that we can offer services to other operators, carriers, call it carrier businesses, connectivity, interconnect, roaming services. We have a lot of infrastructure between our countries that we also can commercialize. In terms of offering services to MVNOs, who then come in and compete at a retail level with our markets, I'm sort of spectacularly lukewarm on that line of business. So in some countries it's regulated and you're required to offer MVNO access. But I really feel that we have so much value to create with our people and our business and our brand that is a much better place to really put our energy. And I think over the next 5 years, if we evolve with the changing customer requirements and the transition and build the right set of services around business mobile, where the customer pull is, unified comms, IoT, where the margins are good, I think we can do very, very well. I think what we need to do is all the questions we ask on how will we prosper in the future, they're right in front of us. They are right around us. The answer is not far away somewhere doing something completely different. Very much believe that.
Fantastic. As I indicated, we've also got our colleagues joining us on a live webcast and to them in the OpCos. If you want to send questions, we encourage you to log on and basically type in your questions. In actual fact, we have some questions, and we'll start with question number 1. And it says, Rob, CEO turnover in MTN SA is a concern. With the change of leadership, how will you ensure strategic continuity in MTN SA? And that's from Kerry. Thanks for that, Kerry. And also remember, before Rob answers, if you want to drive the dialogue on social media, on Twitter in particular, the hashtag is #MTN Fresh Monday. Rob?
Maybe we don't put this answer on there. Yeah, I think it is a concern. I met Mteto a couple of times, and lovely guy. And I really felt MTN South Africa is really turning the corner. If you look at the metrics, I'm very encouraged by that. But of course, he got a group CEO role at Altron, and that's kind of what we look for, when you get to a certain level. So I also very much respect, his decision to move on. I think we're fortunate that we had Godfrey, in the wings. Godfrey's a seasoned CEO. He's been the CEO in Lesotho, DRC, consumer head in South Africa at Vodacom, been now the regional VP the last while. And in my conversations with Godfrey, and he's not here. Where is Godfrey? No. He's got more important things to do.
Yep.
But, I said to Godfrey, you got to be in this for the long haul. Those poor guys, they've had so much change, and they just get going, and then, things change again. And, you need a sticky bum in that chair. Mm-hmm. I didn't say it like that. But, so he's very inspired to do that. Yep. And I really believe we will give the market the continuity and the stability they desperately need, so they can get on and do what they know they need to do, and build already on the good foundation that's been laid.
100%. We've got a question from one of our colleagues in the audience. Please identify yourself. Lovelyn.
Hello, Rob. My
Hi.
name is Lovelyn. I'm in the Regulatory Affairs and Public Policy Department. I have a lot of questions for you, but I'll keep it to two. Okay, so my first question is, it has to do with how you envision or foresee MTN's role in public policy and with regulators. So I've heard you mention a lot about the importance of, you know, our relationships with our customers and making sure that we direct our energies towards areas where customers themselves are also, you know, interested. But I think as well, I mean, in our business, we can't ignore the important stakeholders, which are regulators. And even at the beginning, you said that you first want to engage with the ordinary people before you talk to the difficult ones, the regulators, etc. And that speaks to what I think has been maybe a bit of a, antagonistic is a bit of a harsh word, but I think a difficult and tense approach and relationship with regulators within our industry, but specifically at MTN. So I really want to know what you think or how you envision our relationship with regulators, how you think that's going to look, and how you think MTN can play a role in the public policy space. That's one. Quickly, second question.
Lovely. Can I just ask you to, just for the one question,
yeah,
so that he can answer, and then we'll come back to you
if
next
I can
round.
keep the mic. Thanks.
Okay, keep the mic.
It's a difficult lady. No, look, I think, in my experience, and let me speak for Europe for the moment, maybe I can speak more credibly about that. All of the challenges between the operators and the regulators basically came about because the operators were not looking after their customers. Mm-hmm. Okay? So I was always saying to my guys, you got a difficult relationship with the regulator, look in the mirror. Mm-hmm. Okay? And why is it like that? You know, we let our customers down with European roaming for years. Okay? Bill shocks, high tariffs, no spend control, everybody unhappy, and in the end that got comprehensively regulated. Mm. Okay? And everybody's complaining, oh, it's over-regulated. I think that was an own goal. So this is the important thing for me. You know, we are trying to build a sustainable business, and a sustainable business has to take care of its people and of its customers. And if you're taking care of your customers and you're planning for the long term and you're building what the society needs, there's a very great chance you will have a lot of alignment with your regulators. So these things are not two separate worlds. We have to find the common ground. They are, in the end, basically trying to achieve the same thing. You know, how do we get this industry to work for the people? It must be competitive enough. Customers must be protected. Resources must be fairly allocated. So I've never had an adversarial relationship with regulators. The important thing for me is before I sit in front of them, I want to understand a bit better where we are. And that's why I start with the people and the business.
100%. Let's go to another question from our OpCos. Let's go to question 2, guys, if you don't mind. And there's your question. Are we going to be realistic about our ambitions and simply embrace that we are a bit pipe? Or are we going to transform and acknowledge that we need less contracts and more developers if we want to compete? That's from Yusuf.
Okay, well, it's a leading question. So I think I want to make just a comment about the phrasing of the question, Yusuf, if I can first, because it kind of implies that it's one or the other. You know, this concept in our industry of the bit pipe or the dumb pipe is often say that, you know, do you want to be a dumb pipe or do you want to do something else? And I don't think that's really the right way to think about it. I think the right way to think about it is we need fantastic networks, mm-hmm. okay, where we give people the voice and data experience where they need it, and that we build the commercial models that they can buy it in the way they want to buy it with the flexibility they're looking for. Mm. And that's a beautiful thing to build. And that's a complicated thing to build. You know, Babak is sitting there, but you know, to build that, you have to manage, you know, urban, rural, vendors, 2G, 3G, 4G, handovers, interconnect, multi-RAB sessions, VoLTE, IMS. I'm always amazed that it works. Really, I am. You know, because I can be talking to my wife who's sitting in Amsterdam, and I'm in my car driving somewhere, and I know that this network is doing all amazing things handing over and cell to cell, and technologies are changing, and in comes the WhatsApp because there's a data thing that's going at the same time as the call. I think this is just fantastic. It's like a dragon, this thing that works and breathes and moves around. So I'm inspired by the technology people, and I think that's of course an amazing thing. Now, and not all, and
Okay.
let's build also the services that customers most need or want, that are not readily available because maybe they're complex to build or they're expensive to build. And let's start to bundle that into the MTN experience.
Yeah.
So actually, the answer to the question is we need as much focus on the beautiful network as we do on the relevant services. And we must do these things at the same time. And each have their own power in the market.
Fantastic. We have another question from the audience here joining us.
I still have the mic.
Okay, Loveland, go for it.
Very quickly, sorry. I just really want to ask these questions on a public platform. So my second question then has to do with, there's a lot of talk around transformation in MTN. And I suppose in South Africa we tend to sometimes have narrow understandings of transformation being specifically related to race and representation of black, colored, and Indian people in high levels of management. But I think the other dimension of that conversation, which perhaps isn't being as fiercely addressed, is the conversation about the representation of women in ExCo, for example, and other levels of senior management. And the other side of that is then also the prospects of growth for younger people in the company. So just to be succinct, I would like to know what are your thoughts on gender transformation specifically at MTN, and what are your thoughts on hierarchy in MTN? Thank you.
So I guess with the deep understanding of the MTN situation I've gathered in the 3 hours I've been here, no, I think it's easier to ask about how do I feel about these topics than particularly to discuss, because I don't really know, to be honest, exactly how it is all here. As I said earlier, I'm a huge believer in diversity, and that is across race, gender, background, age, of course. And it does strike me also that there is no gender diversity in the executive team. Because I guess my time in South Africa, it gives you an eye for these things. You look and you think about, is this the diversity we need? So that is front of mind. I guess it's something we need to tackle, step by step as opportunities arise. And it is a weighty topic. Transformation in the South African context is a weighty topic. We want the society to be more diverse. We want our companies to be more diverse. The central conversation is how do we go about that, and over what time period, and how does it feel when we seem to move backwards? When my appointment was announced, and for example, the Black Management Forum said it was a real kind of blow to transformation and a real step back. Although they never called me about that, I guess in a way I agreed with them. That this was a company that certainly on that aspect had a very proud track record. But I also felt I could step in and that I have the right commitment also to diversity, and I could advance the cause despite being what is obviously...
What is it?
Last time I looked... But I also feel, though, that there is a bit of danger in trying to judge one event at one point in time, because I think MTN does still have a very proud track record of transformation, and one guy in 1 month doesn't change that. We have a lot to be proud of. But I make a commitment also to everybody that this is going to be also front of mind for me, and I will need to understand exactly where we are on the topics of transformation and diversity, both race, gender, ethnicity. Where do we want to get to, and do we have the right plans to make the steps we need to make?
Fantastic. Is there another question from Lovelyn? You can give the mic back, please. Thank you. Just kidding. Is there another question from the audience? Yeah, over there, Mira.
I just want to ask a question about the environmental sustainability.
Sorry, Mira, do you want to introduce yourself first?
I met her
I
this
did this
morning.
morning.
To everyone else.
Hi, I'm Mira from Group Procurement. The question is about the environmental sustainability in ICT. We had one lovely opportunity a couple of years ago with the German government to run the project on the electronic waste. Unfortunately, we were not ready for that, so we didn't take it as far as we wanted. And I think we as a company have such a potential for, to show our colors and to be the driving force, especially in our markets, in terms of the, environmental sustainability and how we help the environment. So I want to know what is your view on that.
So I have a perspective on that, and that is that it is very important that we manage our own business in a way that is sensitive to the environment and the world we live in. So focusing on things like our power consumption, water consumption, our carbon footprint is an important part of what we need to do. I think it is also important that we play a role in dealing with some of the issues endemic in our industry, like, for example, what happens to old handsets and the whole bunch of nasty stuff that is sitting in there. And I think there's a lot we can do. And, it's not a but, and I also think, in a way, we have much more ability to make a difference in how we mobilize our customers. Because actually, it is our products and services that are allowing people, for example, to work remotely and not travel, that are mobilizing workforces, that are virtualizing devices. In the old days, you could quite easily have your sat-nav, your calculator, your music player, your phone, and all of that has been virtualized into one device connected to one network. That's a bit the power of the industry. We did a study in the Dutch market that basically said that the capacity of a mobile operator to make a difference to the environment was 10 times larger in how they enabled their customers to make a difference than in their own operations. Because in the end, we're not a mine or a big industrial company. We don't have a lot of industrial type activity. So I would like us to tackle this question in these two ways. Let's be responsible about how we operate. Let's help our customers be responsible with their devices. But let's really focus also on the mobilization and the virtualization of businesses and devices. And I think we can make a real contribution there.
A lot of questions are flooding in on the webcast login. And one of these comes from Emmanuel Kapikile. And he says, MTN is a culture of generously giving its employees shares after a certain number of years. Are you going to continue with this culture?
Well, I guess at the root of the question is basically how do we feel about reward? And I think modern companies have a balance of reward between the salary you get every day, maybe a commission if you're more in a sales role, a kind of an annual bonus depending on the company meeting its targets, and also for some employees, the longer-term retention and reward aspects of shares or PSPs. And that is, I think, a relatively good system. Of course, the devil in there is how do you make sure that the pay is fair, benchmarked against similar pay? How do you make sure that the targets are reasonable and appropriate? How do you decide who to allocate these things to and what conditions do you attach to them? That is a complicated thing to untangle. And of course, I have many thoughts on how we should arrange that. But, I have a board and a remuneration committee, so it is in the end a dialogue also. But I think it is fair to say, from what I've seen, that we need to have a relook at that whole system. And I discussed this also with Paul. And we have an opportunity to table some proposals at the Remuneration Committee in May. And I think we will try to come up with something that perhaps works better than how things have worked the last few years.
Great. We've got a question in the audience right now. Please introduce yourself.
Thank you, Chris. My name is Polisa from Group Corporate Affairs. I would like to know if you think MTN will be profitable this year. And related to that, what's your view of the MTN share price in the short to medium term, and what will inform those drivers?
Wow. Well, for sure we will be profitable. For sure. I don't doubt that for a moment. You know, the share price, well, I always like to think that we should focus on the things we should control. Okay? We have good businesses, we have decent markets, we have, I think, good plans, maybe some additional areas of focus we'll identify over the next months, and we need to focus on that. We need to be the best manager of the assets we've got. Okay? But of course, what we can't control is the oil price or the dollar-naira rate or inflation in a particular market. And these, what we so-call macro factors, are a lot of what's impacting the share price. I saw a graph of an analyst did where they did a correlation of the MTN share price with the price of Brent crude. Very strong correlation. It's just like two lines on top of each other. That's an interesting thing. Okay, so I don't think I can do much about the price of Brent crude. I don't think any of us can. But let's just do the best job at managing the assets we've got in the markets we've got with the conditions they have. And then at least we can sleep easy. And if the oil price goes against us, well, you know, that was an investor who bet on the oil price. I want people to feel that the bet they made on the MTN team was a good bet. And if things didn't go the way they planned, it's because something else happened.
Nice one. Is there another question from the audience before we turn to our webcast? Yes, sir. Please identify yourself. Please stand, if you don't mind, so we can see you.
My name is Nyambe Chindane from the Consumer Business Unit at MTN South Africa. I just want to have just one question. From an observation point of view, as an outsider, you've obviously observed what MTN has been doing in comparison with Vodacom. What is the one big thing which you would say, as MTNers, we must stop doing? And what is the one big thing which you would say we should start doing, which we've never been doing before, in order for us to be competitive as compared to the other two competitors? Thanks.
You know, I left Vodacom at the end of 2011. And when I left, Vodacom was getting its ass kicked by MTN. Okay? That's the world I know. And of course, I've been in Europe for 5 years, and I come back, and it's not so much like that. So I can only think that what I think happened there is they had a lot of continuity and stability. Vodacom South Africa has had the same CEO for 17 years, barring one 18-month break when Shamil went to Spain. Okay? And I think they run their own race. You know, they're just calmly getting on. They're doing their thing. They're well organized. They're executing their plan. So I don't so much want to talk about them. I want to talk about us. Okay? But of course, that's the question you ask. I think we have a decent plan in MTN South Africa. I think people see, of course, that we need to change a bit with the times. You know, the market moves quite a lot of money to post-pay. Maybe we're not so well structured to tackle that. There's a big focus on retention, churn, and cross-sell that's needed in our industry. Maybe we're a little bit still too focused on acquisition. It's also an and. You need a great network. People feel that. And they need to have a good experience of the basic service. Okay? This is very important to me. Give me a good network and a decent tariff at a fair price. Let me walk out of the store with my tariff, my phone, and if I've got a problem, let me call up a call center or go on the app and sort it out for me. This is what I would call like customer experience 101. Okay? And if we get that in place, then we can start to put maybe the sexier things on top of it. But this is a very good place to start. And I think we have some work to do there. So again, what you see with me is I'm a very practical guy, and let's be practical. Network perception is an interesting thing. I go a bit on an aside here, but I have the microphone now. Network perception, if you dig under the data, is fundamentally driven by the voice experience. It's an interesting thing, eh? So we all think it's about like data and throughput and upload and download and, do we have more 4G or LTE in this city than that guy? But you go and look at the people that are unhappy with the network, and they're talking about voice quality, dropped calls, maybe a little bit about call setup. So these are very, very important metrics to manage. I had a session with the CEOs a bit earlier, as I said, and this was a little bit a message to them, is let's be super interested in the core experience of our customers, okay? And let's get that just as perfect as it can be. And I promise you, if we did that, we would at least grow pretty much as well as the red guys and better than the blue and the whatever color the other guys are, black, I think. And if we continue to restlessly, positively improve on it after that, we will beat them in the market. I have no doubt, and I say it right up here in front of all of you on the stage, I have no doubt we can beat them. No doubt at all. But let's go step by step, and let's walk before we run.
Nice one, Rob. We are sort of running out of time, so let me take one more question from the OPCO. Question 3, please. How do you see MTN's progress over the next 5 years, and what are the changes you intend to implement in the short term? And that's from Mahendra in MTN SA.
Yes, I think we've touched on a few of these things. I think I've said that the next 5 years is a pivotal time for us because we will have this once-off opportunity to bring these millions of data customers on board, at the same time bringing them on in a digital way with the digital services. This is very important for me. I think we will rebalance our business so we have more enterprise business. We will have more post-pay business. We will focus more on retention as well as focusing on acquisition. I think we will make good strides on the customer experience. Actually, in many markets, our NPS is pretty good. My vision is we have a 10-point NPS gap in every market, okay? Because 1 or 2 points is not enough for people to feel the difference. Yeah, and if it's 30 or 40 points, all hail to the markets that can do that, fantastic. But, if you have, we can always jump to KPIs. I'm not a big KPI guy, but it is a kind of a way you could answer this question, hey? Like, what does success look like in 5 years' time? I said, what would I be looking at? Okay? I look to the customers, and we look to see, do we have an NPS lead in every market? Which means we're doing a better job than anybody else, even if the market's difficult. And then I'm going to go over here and I'm going to look at the people. Okay? And I'm going to say, what are our engagement scores? What are our staff turnover? What does it say in the survey about how people feel it's like to work for MTN? Are they proud? Do they want to stay? Do they feel we have the right strategy? Okay? This is very important. We can look at the financial results. Do we have a good EBITDA margin? Are we generating a good dividend? Is the share well regarded in the market? We look at our reputation surveys. How does civil society feel about the company? How does the regulators feel about the company? Is this a force for good in the world? These would be my dreams. They're maybe in a way they're simple dreams, but you know, if you have inspired people and happy customers and a community that thinks you're a good company, well, I think you've got really what you're after. In the short term, no, it's not. I don't think we should think in the short term. We play the long game here. We play that we build a better MTN for the people that come after us. That's the game we play. So for me, the most important thing in the short term is I need to get out there and learn about this wonderful company, and then I can make a difference in my own way.
Great one. Is there a question in the audience before we turn to other questions? While we're looking for the audience, could you queue up question 7 for me, please, so we can take a look? Thanks. Okay, Rob, here's a question. What plans do you have for talent development for level 1 and 2 employees, and how will you ensure its implementation? And that's from Ishmael in Uganda. I know, you're barely a few hours here, but a few thoughts about how you would engage those guys at a lower level.
Yeah, I don't even know what levels 1 and 2 are, and I'm a bit allergic to levels in the first place. You know what I would say is like, I feel joining a company, like I'm a new employee, yeah? I feel that it's a partnership, okay? So the company asks me to do things, get the strategy together and allocate resources and, communicate in the right way and help build a better MTN. And that's my part of the partnership. But on the other side, the company also has their obligations. Give me a good working environment, pay me fairly, be clear on what's expected of me, help me grow, help me develop, help me learn. So this is how I feel more broadly about this concept, is this is a partnership, okay? So in a way, I would answer, well, there is an obligation on everybody to look to their own development, okay? Being developed is not something that the company does to one. We develop ourselves, okay? And we must also take responsibility for our own careers and our own progress. But the company must play their part of the bargain, which is giving us the opportunity to do that. And we need to get these things into the right balance.
Fantastic. Rob, it's really been a privilege having you here. I just want to make a commitment to the guys out in the OpCos who have been sending us messages. I know we're running out of time, but what we do commit is to give some of these questions to Rob, and we'll get back to you via email or many other platforms that we have available at MTN. I don't know, Rob, I just want to invite you to give us maybe a final parting shot before we wrap up the session, and then off to your next engagement, I guess.
Yeah, well, how do I make an impactful end to my... There's Enzo. Hello, Enzo. You're my impactful finish. I guess I believe to my core of my inner being that we have a great company and we will build a wonderful company. And those that are proud today will remain proud, and those that have questions about MTN will become proud. And I believe that we will achieve that because we will do it together. And that is what, for me, it's all about. And what I need everybody to do is keep positive, keep engaged, and get out there and do your thing, strut your funky stuff. It's a cool industry, it's a cool place. We will win, and we'll have fun along the way. So, thanks so much.
Rob, on behalf of our colleagues out there in the OpCos and the guys who came out to see you today, thank you so much for taking the time, being so candid and open and sharing with us. We really look forward to engaging with you and many, many more discussions like this. Thank you so much.
Cool.
Rob.
Thanks.
Thanks. Yes, sir. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, everyone.